Hi everybody, welcome to Beyond the Lines. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist by Pinselgeschichten, and today I'm working on a new page in the Outlander coloring book. It is this one here, and I'm doing the complete and whole underpainting with neocolors to talking to you about why I chose the greens, what I wanted to accomplish with it, what I want to do on top next week for this page, and why there's a little yellow something in that cup. So I hope you enjoy. Hi everybody, welcome. Today I'm gonna start this new page. Let's see how far I get. Well, you know already because of the opener, which I'm gonna film after this. But this page is having the following story. He lowered the dirk, kissed it at the juncture of haft and tang, and thrust it home in its sheath. Still kneeling, he offered both hands clasped to Colum, who took him between his own and lifted them to his lips in acceptance of the oath so offered. Then he raised Dougal to his feet. Turning, Dougal picked up a silver quaich from its place on the tartan-covered table behind him. He lifted the heavy-eared cup with both hands, drank from it, and offered it to Dougal. Dougal took a healthy swallow and handed back the cup. Then, with a final bow to the Laird of the Clan Mackenzie, he stepped to one side to make room for the next man in line. So we are at the gathering in Castle Laird, where everybody pledges his oath to the Laird. And this is, well, the knife and sheath and cup on tartan. And I decided to go with Caran d'Ache neocolors for neocolor 2, to be precise, for this page. There's not a lot of detail here, so this is a page I think that works very well with watercolors. So I'm taking this sheet here because I thought I'd like to have greens in the background for the tartan, not go for the Fraser red, but for the Mackenzie green. And I'm going to take a couple of crayons here from both the palettes, one of them olive and raw umber and olive brown. I think that's the right one. No, that's not the right one. Gotta collect my crayons here. And I want some greens, some more vibrant greens. So I'm taking the moss green because I really like that color. And maybe the chrome green as well. Those other colors are a little too vibrant for me and a little too blue tinted. That's why I went for the olive and the olive brown and the what's it called? Raw umber. So I'm just gonna put them down here on my palette next to me. And I'm gonna color the tartan. So what I thought I'd do on this page, technique wise or supply wise, is go with the neocolors for the basic layer, like giving everything a little lovely color, and then maybe add some colored pencils on top of the knife and the cup. Not on the tartan, that should be kind of like blurred out in the background. So I didn't want to go for that. Now I gotta choose my colors. What do I want to do? I'm gonna start with the top one on my palette, which is, I think, the raw umber, and I'm just gonna go for the squares that have a certain line work in them, and I'm going for these striped ones here first. Give them a layer of color. So So I will adjust one thing on this page here. Paint something in that isn't indicated by the illustrator. But that's gonna come later. It's not in the background, because again, the background's blurry, it's just a tartan, it's nothing fancy. But, excuse me, yeah, still pollen and early morning filming, awesome. This is probably gonna be a little bit of a faster page, not taking as long as the last one, or it won't take as long as the next one will, because I already peeked ahead in the book what the next page is gonna be, and the next page is gonna be a big one. That's gonna take a lot of work, because there's a lot of detail. But I actually like, and that's something I realized once I thought back to the last page and peeked ahead to the next page, and then looked at this one, deciding, okay, what do I want to do with supplies, because I don't want to repeat the same supplies like in every video. Of course there's going to be repetition, because I only have so much in my studio, and there's just certain ways of coloring in a coloring book that I do prefer. And I will, for example, never go with oils in a coloring book. For one, that's not the correct surface to put oil paints on, and also I don't have any, and I'm not very fond of oil painting. I tried it, it's nice, but it's not for me. That's what I want to say. So I looked ahead to the next page, already thinking about, okay, what do I want to do there? What can I do in between, like on this page? And I realized that in this book, there's a page that is very intricate with the line work, and that has a lot of detail and like a big scenery. And then the next page is a little more of a low maintenance page, if you know what I mean. Something like this here, where there's just one big object, or there's like a crest or something, and there's not a lot of tiny little things to color or take care of light and shadow per se, like really take care of it on every little object. So there's like a high maintenance page, and then it's followed by a low maintenance page, and then going on to like a medium high or medium low maintenance kind of page, and it all repeats itself in this book. And I really like that, because if you color this book in like front to back, like I'm doing, you get kind of like a breather in between. You don't only have the very high maintenance pages. So I thought that was very clever of the people putting this book together. I don't know if it has been done on purpose, but I would think so. Of course, the book follows the story, so you know, there's definitely purpose behind how this book is put together. But I wonder if they separated bits of the story first that they wanted to depict in this book, and then decided, okay, we're gonna switch up artists in between. They all have different styles, so we're gonna give that and that page to this and this artist, because his kind of line work is fitting best, and he's maybe not, in this case, the super intricate illustrator, but he prefers more of a broader line work, and he's really good at it, or she's really good at it, and we're gonna give him that page, and the other page with the other part of the story is gonna go to that illustrator because, well, it fits with their very intricate way of drawing and doing line work. I'm just wondering, you know, guys, it's a thing in my mind that I realized this morning once I looked at this page again, deciding if I really want to go with what I thought I wanted to go with, which was neocolors and color pencils. So yeah, there's a story, there's a thought. Since I've never put together a coloring book or worked in publishing in that way, I don't know, but I've been working in a job that also had publishing of books as part of it. I can imagine that that a lot of thought went into this book, like which illustrator gets what page, what part of the story, which parts of the story are we gonna depict, and how the different styles cater to parts of the story, and, well, how many low maintenance pages we're gonna put in there. Just the thought. It might be weird. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think? How that book came together in the publishing process? Like, what do you imagine how it went? So I got the raw umber down. I got 4 more colors, but only 2 patterns. But some of these bits are quite big. Some of them are right next to each other, so I think I'm gonna choose 2 colors for these bits with the small tiny little lines in them, and just switch them up when they sit next to each other. Like, I'm gonna show you what I mean. I'm taking, I don't know what kind of green. It looks like the olive green, maybe. Just not have 2 colors sit next to each other. So something like this. Like that. I'm gonna do this one in green, because I do have a little more of a brownish olive tone, and I don't want that next to the handle per se, at least not on the big part, but I'm gonna put it here. So this one's gonna be a light green. Next row. And I'm trying not to have that much of a watercolory blotchy look on these bits, so I'm very much trying to have a very flat, very calm kind of a surface. So the way I move my brush, so this is going to get the other color, that one too, so this is going to be green. I'm just moving my brush very slowly and really just stay within the lines here to color those little squares. Or rectangles. Some of them are rectangles, obviously. She says, while coloring one. But you see, I'm trying not to have my brush strokes show too much. So this is gonna be a green one. And I'm going relatively slow for how fast I can go with watercolors, or the neo colors in this case. I mean, they're sort of a watercolor. Just very simple sort of coloring here. Just one layer, nothing fancy. But, well, something to go for. Now I gotta find my crayon. Let's see if it was... Yes, so the color I just used was olive. Because I had to put some more on my palette. Went through the first bit already. And I do like these muted colors a lot, especially for this book. I was kind of thinking this morning, should I maybe go with Inktense, not go with Caran d'Ache, at least for the tartan in the background, because Inktense has muted colors too, but the colors are very, very vibrant. So the painting just with one layer wouldn't look flat, like in no way, just because those colors are so vibrant and so highly pigmented. But I thought it would maybe take away from the contrast and stuff that I will, or that I'm planning to put on the objects. So the knife, the sheath, and the cup. And that's why I decided to go with the neo colors. And also without mixing, which I do like in a coloring book. I don't like just using colors in my own paintings, but for coloring books I like to not mix my own colors so much. I like to, well, go with shades that are given to me in any kind of form, it being crayons or colored pencils or watercolor pencils, Inktense, all the kind of supplies you can imagine. And I thought the palette here for the neo colors had just a little more range when it came to the muted earth-like colors. Inktense does have a lot of shades too that are kind of muted, but since they are so vibrant, they don't seem to be as muted, if you know what I mean. So there's of course an olive green in the Inktense pencils or blocks, whatever you have and prefer, but they are so highly pigmented that they don't seem as vintage looking as the neo colors do, with the same kind of color, in this case olive. So yeah, that was the decision process this morning when I set up for filming. So I do think about the pages that I will color beforehand, so before I start filming, what I want to do. I'm sitting with my ideas for a while, at least a week, before I actually film them. But I also think about things right before filming once more, just mull things over and see if I really want to go with something, if it feels right, if I have a picture in my mind of what the page will look like, what I want to achieve and all that things. And this morning before this morning I had decided I wanted to use a wet medium as my major supply here, so watercolors or Inktense in any sort of way. And this morning then I decided between Inktense and the Caran d'Ache. So I had decided beforehand not to use my Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils, so I had narrowed down my choice of supply beforehand. But yeah, the final decision always is made on filming day. That's kind of how I go about it. Like this, the general decisions beforehand and the last tiny little bits of decision making on the day of filming, especially on the day of filming of the first part of a new page, because this is where I set the feel of the page, or where I decide what I want to do, where I want to go with things. Along the way, I might decide, for example, if I put colored pencils on top of the Neo colors later on, I might decide to not use the polychromos as my colored pencils on top, but go for Prismacolor, for example, or go for the Faber-Castell Classics, something like that. But I already know at this point which supplies I'm going to use, what sort of supplies. So in this case, watercolors, colored pencils, and probably a little bit of gel pen here and there. So now I gotta see. This one has to be green. I like that olive tone. Oh, I love yellowish green colors. Favorite kind of green. Now I gotta see. So is that one piece? I don't think so. They're all made in squares. So this is another section. I need a little more olive green on my palette. I've been actually not filming for Beyond the Lines for a while now, because I had stocked up on videos for 3 weeks. So it's been a while since I've been sitting with this book. And I kind of need quote-unquote vacation time in between. That's why I sometimes stock up on videos. And this morning, when I looked at my calendar for what kind of tasks I have today, what I gotta do, and it said Beyond the Lines, next page in the book, it was like, yeah, I can go back to my book. I'm re-energized. I'm not bored by the book or anything. I can work in one of my all-time favorite coloring books again. I was very, very happy and got out of bed so quickly. And it's actually quite early in the morning still, at least for me when it's filming day. And I'm already dressed. I'm human. I look kind of decent. And I'm awake. I'm energized. And I feel like working in this book today. So I was very happy about that. Which is something that coloring does for me. It's just like the anticipation of coloring a page in a certain book, knowing that I I have time scheduled to work in this book again. I'm getting closer to my goal of completing this book and enjoying every page of it, even if I don't like some of the pages. That's something I very much enjoy. It gives me a lot of calm, relaxed kind of feelings. It's very enjoyable for me. So there you go. Now you know. Waking up with a huge smile on my face, knowing that I can film one of these videos. And also, simultaneously work in the book, because I don't work in this book off camera. That's one thing. I've been coloring other bits and pieces in other coloring books over the last couple of weeks. I'm currently working in the Mythomorphia coloring book by Kirby Rosanz, and I am coloring the Chinese dragon. Fun fact, also using green for that dragon, so I'm working with a lot of green right now. And I very much like that color. I don't get sick of it. I got sick of purple as my main color. On another page in the Kirby Rosanz book, I colored the Medusa, or she has a different kind of name in the book. Like the snake lady, let's color her that. And that was just a one-sided page, not a double-sided page, kind of a picture. And I used purple for all of the snakes. And I got so sick of purple as my main color that I am probably not gonna use that color for a couple of months as my main color in a page. I'm still using purple a lot, don't get me wrong, but just as like a shading color or a highlight color for something, an object that I want to point out on a coloring page and a picture. And I also use it in my own paintings, of course. But I kind of got sick of purple, and now I'm using the double the amount at least of green on the page with the Chinese dragon in that coloring book, and also using green here in this book, and I'm not getting sick of that color. It's a weird thing what kind of colors you might get a little sick of if you use them too much on a particular painting or coloring page, and others you can use over and over and over and over again, and you're not getting sick of them. I'm sorry, I'm getting a call, but I'm not gonna answer that now. So this is all gonna be, I think, what's it called? Olive brown, because they all are next to those olive green bits. So now I have to break things up a little bit. But I need more of that olive green because I don't have anything on my palette anymore. So I'm having a whole row just with these, with the olive brown now. So I'm gonna switch things up again here in that lower part with not having the olive green here sit next to every of these raw umber bits if I can put them there. So I'm gonna leave some of the squares or rectangles open to be colored with the olive brown, this one for example. That's not gonna get an olive green treatment. But yeah, I was kind of distracted there for a second. Let me know in the comments if you experience the same thing, that some of the colors in the rainbow you can use over and over and over again as your main color and you don't get sick of it. And others, oh, there's a line here in between which indicates that they are separated. So these two bits are separated, which means I'm coloring the smaller bit here in green and the bigger one gets the brown treatment. So I'm gonna switch that up on this section here. So yeah, let me know. I'm just wondering if it's just a quirky thing in my mind, or if you have experienced the same thing. Say you can use yellow as your main color over and over and over again and you don't get sick of it, but you kind of have trouble with, say, blue. You get sick of the color and then you can't use it as your main color for a while. So I'm gonna leave this one brown, but there's a little speckle down here that's gonna get green. This one is gonna be the olive brown, so this one's gonna get the olive green treatment here. And I just saw that I forgot a tiny little bit on here on the edge where the raw umber is gonna go in. So let me fix that before I go to the olive brown. A little bit of raw umber just to connect here, the very edge of the page. There we go. This looks, if I look at the camera screen, this doesn't look too shabby. Onto the olive brown. I'm gonna start at the top of the page again, because I like to work top to bottom and right to left. Just works best for me for stuff to be dried up and me not smudging anything, because I am left-handed. I imagine it's the same thing for right-handed people, just the other way around, of course. It just would make sense. Is there anything in between here? No. Really have to concentrate and check that I don't miss pieces to be colored, like I did with the raw umber just a hot second ago. And I forgot a piece there, so I'm gonna have to remember that there's gonna be a little bit of green next to the handle of the knife. Oh, and then I didn't watch my page, but just went with moving my brush, and there's a little speckle of brown where it's not supposed to go, but I think I can cover that up or repair that once I go to these squares with my other greens. Okay, and there's the next one. And the next. This is very repetitive, I know. Might be a little boring to watch. But that's part of coloring too. You have repetitive stuff on a page where you can assume what it's gonna look like a little later. And if you're in a time cramp, I would suggest you either speed up the video in the settings, put it to 1.5 or 2 clicks of speed, or maybe you just want to have this as a background when you're doing something else, so you just could leave it and let it play, or you can skip forward. That's an option too. I don't know at what timestamp I'm gonna be finished with the background, because I'm not from the future. I can't say at this point when I'm gonna be done, but you can just fast forward to the next part if you want. That's, I guess, totally fine, and I get it, because these repetitive things can be boring quite easily. So there's a little brown here. This time I didn't forget it. And then there's some of it right here. And I should have taken the smaller brush. But anyways, just gonna go ahead with the next square instead. Not think about that I colored beyond the lines. There's a horrible pun that was intended. Almost done. Geez, what's wrong this morning? Everybody wants to call me? No, I'm not available right now. Sorry for the buzzing. But people know that I'm filming today. They just have seemed to forget. Because I'm having like a no-call time for when I'm filming, because I don't like the buzzing in the background and I don't like to be distracted. But I guess people just forgot that it's Monday, because we're having public holidays over here a lot. It's the season of public holidays, and people get confused what day of the week it actually is. especially now with the virus isolation situation. It's really easy. And it happens to me too that I have to look at the calendar. Okay, what day is it today? I mean, I'm kind of used to it because I'm a home office girl. So my work schedule, my week is always, under any circumstances, it's always different from the people that work like in offices, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, kind of. I'm almost, I'm kind of like a mixture here. I do work on my own schedule. So I decide at what hours and what days of the week I'm working and where my quote-unquote weekend will be. So my weekend is not necessarily Saturday and Sunday. My weekend could be Tuesday, Wednesday. And it changes from week to week because it depends on my work tasks, things that I have to do, things that go on in my private life, like what kind of appointments I have to take care of, what kind of stuff I have to take care of for Jörn, because I'm his caretaker. And that, well, makes for a very weird, almost shift-like work schedule. So I'm moving on to the moss green, by the way. So that has always been different for me since, well, I work from home for years now. And also, I can decide if I want to work during the day or at night. So I kind of feel like a person who works in a job that has like a work shift kind of thing going on. Say anybody in healthcare, for example, like hospitals and stuff, you have a shift system. And I kind of have the same system too, but I do have that in my home office. I don't have to go to a workplace because, yay, I work from home. But so I'm kind of like a hybrid with that. And funny enough, it didn't affect me when isolation came in. And home office work and stuff happened for regulations. It was just business as usual for me because I'm used to that. But I happen to be also one of those people who forgot weekdays then, or didn't remember, okay, what day is it? Is it Wednesday? Is it Friday? I never had trouble with that before, though. I had a very fluid work schedule. Gotta concentrate. But now, since all the other activities that you can do in life are quite limited, I realized that I also am one of those people whose week is kind of like a blur. So I really have to check my calendar in the morning. Okay, what day is it today? What kind of tasks do I have? So I'm planning out my work schedule way more now, because I'm just getting confused by what day it is of every so often. So I had to adjust that way and remember that I have lovely tools say reminders or calendars, where I can put down my tasks of what I have to do in a certain week, put them in for certain days. So that is one adjustment that I had to do. I didn't need that before. What's wrong, people? No, I'm not available right now. It's not an emergency. We do have a system here in the house. If it's an emergency, you call on the landline, because then everybody in this house knows emergency. You gotta respond right away, and not it's just, oh, there's something interesting that happened, let's chat about it. If you call on the landline, it's to the point that everything is put away and put down, and you just focus on whatever person is calling right now. And since they don't call on my landline, it's not an emergency. It's just people are very chatty this morning, it seems, or have very interesting things to tell, but that has to wait for me. Okay. I like the moss green. It's lovely. I like the olive more, but I do like the moss green, I gotta say. So yeah, where was I? Again, I hate when people distract me, because then I'm where was I? What was I saying? I was saying that even I, with a very very fluid kind of work schedule before, and working in a home office before isolations, even I had to realize that I had to make adjustments, because my brain did have trouble with keeping the weekdays apart, which is something I did not expect. Because again, I'm used to not living with the usual or the normal, whatever you want to call it, kind of week schedule beforehand. It was always very fluid. And when it comes to certain rituals or something, I never had them in my weeks. Like, for example, it's Sunday when you go to church. I never had that. Monday hasn't always been my filming day. Something like that. Sometimes I film Tuesdays. Most times it's Mondays, but sometimes it's Tuesdays. And I could always shift my tasks around and work in a way that that did let me use my time in a week very, very efficiently, not have a lot of downtime or time where I was waiting for tasks to be completed until I could work at them again. Or where I would say, okay, I can only work Monday through Friday because I got to see my friends on the weekend. That was never the case. But still, it changed a little bit. Just the perception of how life in a home office is when you are limited by the other stuff you want and can do in a week. So since anything leisure time is pretty much confined to my apartment and my partner's apartment, it just feels weird. That kind of I don't know how to really say that. It's a weird feeling. I've been thinking about this a lot. I haven't really been impacted by the isolation situation because, again, introverted, working in from home, stuff like that. But every so often I do like to go out. I do like to celebrate things, for example, go to dinner, go to movies, stuff like that, go to a pub, which I can't do currently. Nobody can. Well, restaurants are just reopening, so maybe we could do that soon. But I realized we're also people that didn't jump at the opportunity right away. So restaurants and little pubs are open here again. And nobody in my friend group suggested we should go out. Neither did I. It would actually feel kind of weird for me. I'm not one of those people who's super careful and afraid of pretty much anything and not living life to the fullest. But for whatever reason, though I do have the wish and the urge to see my friends and go out with them, it's not that much of a urge that I would jump at the opportunity to go out again and meet up, I don't know, in a pub or something. And it seems that all of my friends aren't either, because nobody has suggested that, and it's been 1.5 weeks now, almost 2 weeks, that restaurants are open again and pubs are and all of that, and nobody suggested, should we go out? Should we maybe meet up? Nope, nobody did. Which is surprising and then not surprising, because everybody in our chat group has been longing to see each other again and being isolated. We all were struggling to a certain extent, but still nobody said, pubs are open, should we meet up? Can we see each other? Because it is very different to talk to each other in real life. I mean, video chat comes closest to it, but even that is not a substitute for real human connection and conversation. It's just different when you are in the same room, when you really sit across from each other and are there in real life. And everybody in the chat has been saying, oh, I miss that. But nobody jumped at the opportunity of meeting up because restaurants are open again. It's a curious thing. I think everybody's just cautious to a very big extent. So now on to the last color. I almost got the tartan done, yay, and it's only been an hour. On to the oxide green, which is a little more of a cooler tone of green, but still very earthy, very desaturated, very muted. I think that fits in here nicely. That's not too shabby. I think it goes for a very nice background in regards to contrast. I want to use grays and blues for the knife and the cup, and warm browns for the handle of the knife and also this sheath here. So I think the warm and very muted greens make for a nice contrast there. Only a few more squares. Now I gotta clean my palette because I gotta show you. This is what it looks like. And, whoop, sorry, I bumped against the audio, and I gotta clean it because I only need the oxide green, and I can't put that anywhere on top, otherwise I'm gonna have mixed colors. So magic of editing. I'm gonna be back. There we go. That's a clean palette. Alright, I needed some more of the chrome oxide green. It almost looks like a patchwork grass meadow. The greenest tartan on earth. It's not actually in the Mackenzie colors. They do have gray and green in their tartan as well. Gray and green? Gray and white and green. That's the colors of the Mackenzies. Oh, throwing things away is not a good idea. But I didn't want to go with the white and gray for this page. I like the green, however. So this is kind of like a fantasy sort of Mackenzie tartan. It's not the way it's described in the books, but it's close enough. And I do like the almost grass-like feel of the background. It's I think it looks I already have to giggle in my head. I think it looks kind of grounded, if you know what I mean. Horrible pun, not intended. But I do like the almost grass or meadow-like look of the background with the knife and the cup being on top, like the focal point, you know? Well, they are the focal point. And I need even more oxide green. more squares and I'm done with the background. It's gonna be finished. I'm gonna definitely have to dry this page before I move on to the focal point, because this page is buckling a lot because I used a lot of water on it, and this is not watercolor paper, so definitely have to dry it in between, just to make sure the buckling is well contained. I can get this page back to a flat surface, which I'm definitely going to be able to do, but I think it's just easier to dry it off now and then move on with the next crayons. Also, I have to refill my brush. I'm all gonna do that in one go, and then I'm gonna see you back in another magic editing second. Okie dokie, so the page is dried. I used that time to make myself another cup of tea, and now it's on to coloring the three objects here, and I want to start with that sheath, and I want to go with a warm brown, but leave enough possibility to shade with what's it called? Pencils later on. So I'm thinking which one to take. Either the cinnamon or the russet really look nice to me. I think I'm gonna go with cinnamon. It's a little richer in tone. So now I gotta, that's the russet, that should be cinnamon. Yes. So I'm gonna go with cinnamon for my browns. It's a way warmer reddish brown than I used in the background, so it will be quite the contrast to the background. I also refilled my brush. No, I didn't. I totally forgot. Hold on, another magic editing second. I'm kind of all over the place today. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Refilled. Now I can really go on to coloring that sheath, and I'm just gonna go with one layer of cinnamon and do anything with colored pencils when it comes to shading and such. So today is really only gonna be Neo Colors base coating, and I'm gonna use probably the full 2 hours if nothing major happens that I can't foresee. I'm gonna use the full 2 hours of video time that I set as a maximum for the Beyond the Lines videos. I'm gonna use that time to do all the base coating with my Neo colors, so that next week I can maybe, I'm not sure yet how that's gonna work out, how long it will take me, but I can maybe finish this page next week by just adding shadows and highlights and such with colored pencils. We'll see if I can manage to do so all in one sitting next week. But I guess this is not gonna be the 15-part sub-series for this page, because, well, there's only so much I can and want to do with this particular page and achieve a certain look. And that doesn't take that long, I assume, at least from my experience. Now I'm kind of thinking in my head, what am I gonna do after this video is done? Because originally I had planned to work on 3 paintings, 2 of them being commissions for Art Day, and I'm kind of thinking in my head, oh, am I gonna do that tomorrow or later tonight? Because or this afternoon, tonight, whatever. Because those videos will be filmed without audio, so I could, and they will be, I will put them in time lapse for the Art Day show, because I don't know how long these paintings will take me, and it will be longer than the 2-hour mark that I put down for my art videos. So I'm gonna record those without audio and we'll have a voiceover and just listen to podcasts and interviews and such while I'm painting and just take my time, so I don't need to do a lot of talking then, which means that I am in a different kind of mental state, or I'm a different kind of painting mode in comparison to when I do these videos where it's real time and I'm talking along the way. So I'm kind of thinking, okay, do I want to film a second Beyond the Lines video, meaning the following video, like right away today, and have this page maybe done? Or do I want to film that later this week and go on with my original plan of filming and working on commission stuff? I'm not sure yet, but what I'm sure of is I want to do the gray stuff now for the rest of the page, and for this one maybe hold on, I had the idea because it says in the text that people drink from this cup here, so I thought maybe let's put some whiskey in. So I should maybe do that before I work on the gray stuff. So I'm thinking I want either the golden ochre or the ochre for the whiskey. There's whiskey in a jar. I'm gonna go with golden ochre and just have parts of this cup be filled with whiskey, and I might add a little bit of saffron to it, but first let's go with the golden ochre. So there's let's do it something like this. My lamp is doing funny things. If you see the flickers on the video, I'm sorry about that. I think that lamp is gonna die soon. Fortunately, I do have another of these daylight light bulbs at my house, so I can replace it right away. but I want to keep this lamp alive for as long as I can, because those daylight filming lamps are a little expensive. So this is what I meant earlier with I'm gonna adjust something on the page. There's no line work in here for indicating that there's whiskey in the jar, in the cup. Why do I go with that song? But I'm just gonna make it be filled with whiskey. So now I'm gonna get my saffron crayon. Just gonna add a little bit. Just to make it a little richer in tone. I'm pulling the pigment quite a bit, as you can see here. So let's pull this a little more to the center. I don't want to add any more of the saffron. And then I can move on to my grays. Now I can decide what I want. I want to go a little lighter because, again, I need to be able to shade on top. But I want the handle to be a little different than the blade itself. So I'm gonna go with Payne's Gray for the handle. It has a cooler tint, which I think makes for a nice contrast. like so. And I will not use the Payne's Gray on the cup because I would need to really darken down this bit and lose quite a lot of detail here on this intricate pattern. So I'm going for a light gray now for the blade and also for the cup. And I'm gonna take the gray, it's just called gray, crayon for that. And I could shade the whiskey in the cup a little better and not have it too dark, because with the Payne's Gray crayon here I would have to really very much darken down this whiskey, and it would lose its lovely golden brown color that I actually want to keep. So though this cup would probably have been made out of some sort of metal that is a little darker, like the handle of the knife, I'm not gonna use it because I want to have that very lovely golden color of the whiskey and not have it be colored too dark. I don't want this to be another dark brown in the end, which it would be with a grayish tint would I have used the Payne's Gray. That's the reason behind it. So I'd rather be maybe not as accurate with what stuff would have been made of back in the day, but it's just a little nicer when it comes to the color contrast in the end, if you know what I mean. I hope I've explained that somewhat decently. Need some of the gray. And now onto the last little object, the cup. there we go. This is the video for today. This is all of the bits being base coated with color. And next week I'm gonna be back with color pencils, and I'm gonna shade things on this page. I hope you enjoyed watching along. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. The blog post with the numbers of the crayons I used today is up by now on my webpage, pinselgeschichten.de. You can just search for the name of the video in case you watch this way after it's been published. And you can find all the information there and find the crayons and all of that. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, welcome for one. I would also love for you to subscribe, peruse the channel. There's lots of art videos, board game videos, and other shenanigans like vlogs. So enjoy. Also, take good care. Have fun. Have a great week. Do something awesome. Do something artsy. Enjoy it all the way. And I'm going to see you very soon. Bye.